we go. Hello friends, my name's Dan. Thank you for joining me today. I am doing Daily Art Adventure number 596. Nearly 600. Started 2 years and 3 months ago, or so 4 months ago. And it's been a fun adventure indeed. This is my second broadcast today. Some of you saw that perhaps. In the minutes between that and this, I've done drawing with small brushes in dark details. So some of these lines, in fact, let me zoom in here real tight so you can see some of these lines are at the moment overly fastidious, over too tight. So I often do this trick. I go ahead and draw things accurately because some things need to be drawn accurately, but then they don't feel right. They feel too tight. So I do this trick often. Draw it tight and then mess it up. And you still have the benefit of the tightness because you're not wiping it all out. But it doesn't look as tight anymore. I also did a little bit of one of my new things, which is a new trick, which is using a oil stick. And I did quite a little bit of white lines. Don't care much for that line I just did, so I'm going to diminish it a little bit, not get mad at it and wipe it out. Never that. Just continue to paint. Always paint. Whenever you're touching the canvas, you have a painter's mindset, never an angry, grumpy eraser mindset. You can take stuff off the canvas, but that's called negative painting. It's not called erasing. All right, so now I'm finally ready to launch into my fuzz layer. That's what I typically call it. Here today I've called it fuzz, atmosphere, and color, sort of capturing three of the primary descriptions of the fuzz layer, which are, of course, fuzz, soft edges. Atmospheric perspective is another good description of this layer. And local color. And can you see? You can almost, yeah, there you go. There's the primary, as far as coloration goes, that's the image I'm looking at. That's what I've shown my customer. And so that's what I'm going by. Let's test this now. I just realized there we go. My micro is not plugged all the way in. So again, that's part of the reason why I wear an in-ear monitor, so I can hear stuff when it starts going bad. This layer is, of course, all done with opaque colors, right? It's opaque paint applied very thinly, so the effect is translucent layers of color. One of the objectives that I'm working toward in my mind, mentally, in my painting these days, is I want to amalgamate. I want to combine some of my painting steps. Hang on just a second. I'm not sure my sound is working just right. Hang on. Test 1, 2, 3. That is very strange, folks. I'm sorry. I know you can hear me, but it's not quite the sound I'm looking for, but I'm not going to mess with it anymore. Make sure I turned on my... I did. Okay. My pocket is turned on. How about your pocket? Is your pocket turned on? Trying to mix up a cool green, pale cool green right now for the top of this building. It's way too dark. You know, the Griset Verdigris. We leaving soon?
The guy is at the door.
Oh no. By any chance, is this something that Nana can take care of?
Nana's gone.
Tell her I'm broadcasting.
Nana's gone, I think. I think she went somewhere.
Oh boy. Okay. Okay, folks, we have a little snag here. We have workmen working on our house this week. All right, I'm sorry. All right, I'm back. Turns out that was an important interruption. I had to pay the man. I thought I was done paying him, but I wasn't. So that's pretty important. All right, paying the man that fixes your roof. Good idea, especially if he does a good job, which absolutely I did. Looking for a good exterior repair person in the Raleigh area, send me an email. I got a good recommendation for you. John Cox. And finding a good repair person is not as easy as it may sound. I decided since I had a pale green on my brushes there, I would go ahead and do anywhere else that needed green. And I want just a hint of green on these trees at this time of the evening. And it's early spring, so that the leaves in this scene are not in full flower. Can you say leaves in full flower? Hey, not in full bloom anyway. So, but at this time of night, this time of the evening that I'm depicting here, not a ton of greenness going on, which suits me just fine because, as you know, green is a very, very dangerous color. We've talked about that often, so I'm not going to repeat it again right now. Just trust me. A little bit of green goes a real long ways. I was starting to say earlier that one of the ambitions, one of the directions I would like to go in my own painting right at the moment is that I would like to, I'd use the word amalgamate, I would combine several of my distinct, I guess I'll go this way, distinct step 1, 2, 3, 4, 13, 14, 15 steps of the painting process. I would like to combine them more. For instance, this layer right here, which this broadcast I'm calling Fuzz, Atmosphere, and Color, well, for me, the traditional approach is in this layer right here, I'm doing local color. Anything that needs to be corrected. For instance, I added orange to this building and this building. That's an example of making the color more real. And the green on the trees, that's local color. But where I'd really like to go would be to do things like incorporating broken color. In other words, non-representational, not strictly realistic color into my, yeah, every layer, including this one, the fuzz layer, instead of doing it all, more or less, all in its own separate layer. Be that as it may, right at the moment, that's not what I'm doing. Right at the moment, I'm doing local color. So it's an ambition yet to be fleshed out. Mixing up a little more phthalo. Both of these two buildings here have strong tints of blue in them, but I don't want them to be the same blue. So this building here, I'm doing a little bit more phthalo. This one a little bit more ultramarine, just for variety. Doesn't even matter if that's realistic or not. Yeah. So let me go back to this combining stages. One of the advantages I think of my particular approach to painting, one that I do recommend for many students, is that my approach to painting, if you're new to my channel, you just have to keep watching before you'll understand exactly what that means. But in my approach to painting, I have broken many of the basic principles of design down into separate and discrete steps or stages. Okay, you've heard me mention I do every painting has maybe approximately 13, 14, or 15 different layers or stages. And why so many? Because I've taken sort of each of the problems that we tackle in the process of doing a painting. Like, one problem is rendering, drawing, capturing realistically the subject matter. That's one distinct problem. Another problem is values, lights and darks. Another is color. Another is edges, soft and hard edges. Another is broken color, and so on. And I've taken those distinct and separate steps or concerns and broken them down into distinct steps. So that means when I'm working on any one given subject, so to speak, I don't have to worry or concern myself with a whole bunch of other distinct steps. So that's a real advantage, especially for students, or I could say especially for someone as mentally challenged as I am. I'm saying that with a wink, right? There's a real benefit to painting in that way, simply because you don't have to think about everything all at once. When I look at the artwork, the painting of some of my heroes, Richard Schmid, I go, I think he manages to accomplish several of those things at the same time. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's better, but it could be better, and I want to have that skill. If I can accomplish that. All skill is beneficial, whether you decide to use it at the moment or not. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I'd like to have the ability to combine some of those. All right, right now it's time for one of my favorite tricks, which is anytime you put down one color, I just put down a whole bunch of blue, basically the same color blue, here, 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 and here. So anytime you put down a color, especially if it's spread over a long area, a wide area, that's a great idea to come back before you forget. You could do it later, but it's the easiest to remember if you do it right then. Come back and do slightly lighter shade of what you just put down on top of what you just put down. Is that making sense? Very, very helpful trick. Almost always looks good, and there's not that much in painting that you can say that about. Almost always looks good. All right, I'm gonna stop with the blue. So I just did a whole bunch of blue, really. Here, here. I'm sorry, I'm off screen, aren't I? Here, here, here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then all these cars, I'll call it 5, and then a little bit here, 6. So, you know what? I just realized. Never mind. I'll come back to it later. I'm gonna also do blue in the sky and in the road. But since I'm cleaning my brushes, let's move on to something else. I want to do now some of the light coming out of the shop windows, if you will. Now, just between you and me, what I'm practicing here is a little bit of romantic fiction. In other words, are there actually lights coming out of these shop windows? And when I look at the photograph, I say, no. But there ought to be. Okay, so there again, that's a good example of we're not in the business of copying the photograph. We're in the business of improving on it. Okay, so I made this point last week at one point. I fear that too many times when students hear that they don't have to copy the photograph, they breathe a great sigh of relief and say, oh, thank God, because they'll point to something in the painting, in the photograph, and say, because that's hard and I don't want to draw that. Okay, that's a cop-up. That is not what we mean. At least that's not what I mean. When I say we don't have to copy the photograph, what I don't mean is you can cop out and not include the stuff that you might find challenging. Now, you can now, but you can't rest there. That is not your final destination as an artist, as a painter. You don't edit things out of the photograph because they're hard. That's a cop-up. No. When we say, and I don't think I'm unique in this. When the art teacher says you don't have to copy the photograph, what they mean is it's your job to paint something better than the photograph, not worser than the photograph. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, classic example. The painting, the scene would look better if there were lights on in all of these commercial properties down here on the main floor. In fact, I do not see that in the photograph, but that doesn't stop me because I'm not copying the photograph. There you go. So do you see the difference there? So don't don't slip into that business of taking the lazy way out. I know some of you just got mad at me because you say, "Oh no, I've always done that." Cut out what's hard to draw. Okay. I just closed an escape, slammed shut an escape hatch on some of you. You don't have to include things that are aesthetically unpleasant or awkward and so on. You can eliminate things because they don't look good. You don't eliminate things because you can't draw them. Now, since I'm being mean, let me be unmean for just a minute. Can you do good paintings before you're a good drawer? And I answer that question with a hearty yes, you absolutely can. Can you do good painters? Can you be a good painter? Well, can you be a good painter without being a good drawer? I would answer that a qualified yes. Yeah, kinda. Let me change the wording slightly. Can you do good paintings without being a good drawer? And the answer is yes. You can learn how to paint in such a way that your lack of drawing skills are not a terrible detriment. But you shouldn't stop there. You shouldn't end there in your journey. You should continue, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, you should be continually learning how to draw. In fact, it's been a while since I said this. Let me give you one of my art teacher isms. If you were my student, let's say you're a typical retiree, you're my age, you're 65, but you're done raising children, or you're done a job in business or education or who knows what. You're done, you're retired, so you can give more time to painting, which is what you really want to do. All right, so I've described a lot of people, and you would like to be, of course, as good a painter as you can be. If you were my full-time student, I don't take full-time students, but if you were my full-time student, and I would quiz you this way, okay, answer this question. 1 year from today, would you like to be slightly better or way better? Just to be overly simplistic about it. Of course, I think most people would say, what a dumb question. I want to be way better. All right. And as your teacher, I wouldn't do this unless you were actually under my tutelage. But this still a principle holds true. If you're my pupil, you say, okay, 12 months from today, I want to be way better painter. Here's what I would say to you. You're not going to do one painting in the next 12 months. Not one. You're not going to paint. What? Let's imagine if you're a fairly industrious hobbyist. Let's just imagine you're fairly hardworking. You're pretty serious about this new hobby of yours, is painting. You really enjoy it. You're going to do it. How about one painting a week? Would that be fairly ambitious? Well, let's double that. Let's say you're so ambitious, you're a real go-getter, you would average 2 paintings a week for the next 12 months. It would take you, let's say, 5 hours per painting. That's 10 hours per week. 2 paintings a week. 5 hours per painting. My recommendation to you would be, okay, if you want to be really good, you're not going to do any paintings. Instead, during the time that you would have spent doing paintings for the next 12 months, you're going to do drawings, sketches. Instead of 50 paintings, no, what did I say, 2 a week, 100 paintings, 700 paintings, you're going to do 5,000 sketches. 5,000 sketches. At the end of a year, you'll be a way better painter. Now, yeah, some of you feel like doing drawing, sketching is kind of like going to the dentist or going to school. It doesn't sound like fun. So that is an attitude issue that we would need to work on. You need to make it fun for yourself. You can't, you know, drawing needs to be fun. Sketching needs to be fun. And I know for some of you that might be a tall order to fill. Let me zoom in here a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. Pretty close to done in this area right in there. This is maybe a good example. When you stand back and look at this, it looks like traffic, looks like atmosphere, looks like busy, looks like sunlight coming in, headlights coming in. When you actually look at the marks themselves, it doesn't look anything like that. It's just a hodgepodge. That's in my last broadcast when I was talking about keeping it between the lines. might be a good example of what I'm talking about there. All right, I'm going to leave that for the moment. Keep these brushes. Let's go up and do some sky. So changing some color. Oh, forgive me for a minute. I need to clean up my palette, which means taking a straight razor, tissue, all of this white that I'm picking up, that's all been on there for several days and it's gotten dry, so we'll get rid of that. Put up some new titanium white, and of course my titanium white is Alkyd fast dry titanium. That way I can do impasto if I want to. I can do thick paint if I want to. Regular titanium, if it's thick, could take 6 or 8 weeks to dry, and I don't have that kind of time at all. You know, I want to deliver this painting to my client day after tomorrow. All right, so there's my quick color change. Let's go up to, whoops, sorry. One thing after another around here, isn't it? I can reach the top of this canvas, but I learned that if I really have to stretch to reach the top of a painting, then I'm not going to do a very good job. So let's bring it down a good ways. That is when it's nice to have a nice easel that just goes up and down real quickly. That's downstairs. So. All right, starting with some ultramarine and titanium white. So a cool blue, right? Tending toward purple. Which makes it a coolish blue as opposed to a warmish blue, which tends toward green. Now, most of what I'm painting up here right now is not blue sky. It's bluish clouds. There will be little bits of blue sky peeking through the clouds. Most of that will be done in the final edit layer. This, what I'm doing right now, is the local color function of the fuzz layer. Okay? The fuzz layer, one of the things I want to do is get the colors pretty close to accurate. And the way it is right now, this sky is way too green. I like it, and I'm not covering it up. I still want all those layers to show through, but I don't want them quite the color that they are. So now I'm just making them bluer. Okay, now some phthalo blue. So this would be the sky color, blue sky color coming through the clouds. Remember, soft edges, soft edges. So you see, I'm not painting up to the edge of a building and stopping. I'm going right across the edge of the building. This is soft edge time. Remember? easy for a painting to have too many hard edges. Almost impossible, virtually impossible for a painting to have too many soft edges. Very easy for a painting to have too many hard edges. Part of the rationale behind this fuzz layer, it's edge control. This is all about soft. This layer is all about soft edges. Thus, atmospheric perspective is another good description of this layer. Letting all those buildings go up into thinness, up into atmosphere up there. I think that's enough. I think that's enough blue at the top. Go back to one of my earlier brushes that ended with a very pale orange on it. Come in here. Yes, it always feels like I'm ruining the painting when I do this. I've learned to keep my fear in check because I am almost certainly not ruining the painting. I just made all of this much softer, didn't I? Just messed it up. But it's not done yet. It's not going to stay this way. I'm going to come back with a final layer and hit just a few hard edges and highlights in here, and that will sharpen it up just the right amount. Again, there's more danger of me having too many hard edges. There's almost no danger of too many soft edges. Does that make sense? I just pushed all of that into the street. All those buildings, I just pushed them back. You could say, well, why didn't you do that the first time around? Well, because I'm not that good. That's why I've broken down my painting process into distinct, separate steps, so that I don't have to think about everything all at once. All right, gang, time for me to go. We're having a family outing tonight, drive in a couple hours. Thank you for your company. Let me see if I can see your chats real fast. Hey, FEMA Ox, good to have you on board. I saw you watching the East Oaks guys the other night. That was fun. Nicholas, thank you for the encouragement in the sky. Yeah, Bernie Fuchs, he was a good artist, wasn't he? Yeah. Wall Street, 1984. Thank you, Erlinda. Good to hear from you again. And Guyan, nice to hear you. Yeah, thank you, Erlinda.